We're wasting time.
Universe.
Oh my goodness. But no, I had this dream, right? And it was a little while ago. And oh my goodness, it was so vivid, Raymond. It was like in a video game, you know, where you kind of get plopped down into a world and the characters just kind of bouncing a little bit, you know, and it's like new terrain. And it was this desert looking place. Absolutely barren. But it was full of people. So many fucking people. And the sun was beaming down on you so hard you could see the ripples as if you were in the desert, right? In the air, you could see it, the heat. And there were no clouds. I don't even really recall looking up at the sky because the sun was just so blaringly bright. And it was sandy, it was a sandy type of barren. But there were patches of grass and there were these roads that were made of crumbling asphalt. But we all are moving, right? We're all kind of running. All of these people. Thousands. Thousands. Millions. I don't even know. But you could see
A lot of people.
it was a lot of people. Everywhere you looked. And I as soon as I was there I started running as well. And there was someone with me. I don't know who that was. But they were with me. And I just recall seeing people going off into different directions. Some are going the tried and true paths down the asphalt. Some are drifting down into new terrain, going down hills or up hills and going off the beaten path, right? But everyone was kind of clustering together, but then sometimes the roads broke apart, and so people had to separate and they couldn't get back to each other for whatever reason. I don't really know. They probably could, but they didn't. But everyone was looking forward. No one really turned their body. No one stopped running, right? Even if it was a really slow run, everyone was running. And you didn't know why you were running. You didn't know what you were running to, what you were running from. There was no concept of why or where. You just had to go forward. And this person that I was with, there was some notion of I want to catch up to Emma Watson. I don't know why her in specific, but I suppose she represented exactly. She was very prominent in my mind, I guess, my subconscious. But I guess she represented a certain status in life because this seemed to be very symbolic of life in general, right? And so we're running, and we see her. She's over on a different road, but we're parallel. And so we're running, and that is the intention, that we want to catch up to Emma Watson. We want to stay in her group. And this person that I was with, he really wanted to be up there. Like he looked very longingly at Emma Watson and the people around her that kept fading off into the distance. I was running super slow. So slow.
Very realistic dream.
I was so incredibly slow, and I knew that he could go faster than I could if he left me behind, but he didn't. Instead, we were holding hands. I guess we would have gotten lost otherwise. But he didn't let go. We were holding hands, and I mean, he was dragging me forward. I thought I was going to fall, but alas, I felt so badly that he wanted to be up there, and I was the reason why we were falling so far behind that it felt like we would never. But I I wanted him to have this dream accomplished. I wanted him to have this. So I mustered the strength. My skin, oh my goodness, my skin was burning, you know? It was so incredibly hot. But, eyes blurry, seeing people ripped apart, brought together by the terrain and by just choices. People going in different directions than they had been previously. But we finally start making some progress. We catch up. We catch up to Emma Watson. Finally. And so we look over and she's there. And she's like, oh, hi. I mean, it was a moment, but it felt so insignificant once we were there. And I could see that on his face as well, that we're still running. We're still running with no destination. There's nothing that was truly accomplished here other than getting to say hi. Getting to say that we confirmation. Nothing was here. I'm in the middle of a story right now.
Yeah, and my notification interrupted it.
Oh my goodness.
So excuse me for putting it on vibrate.
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. I was in the depths of my story. But confirmation indeed. Because that was a tumultuous type of journey. The roads were literally being made and cracked apart like it was a construction zone as we were going. No other people, the roads were just making themselves. No one was really working on them. Just beams of light. God, all right? The divine were making these roads. Not very well, if I may say.
It only took him 7 days.
Yeah, there's a reason it only took him 7 days. Those roads were shit. They were crumbling. Nothing. No lines, no nothing. But anyway, it was just a profound realization because, like I said, Emma Watson seemed to have been representative of a certain physical, tangible reality, right? Of fame, certain status, so on and so forth. And, we're running in this course of our life. We can't stop. We can't slow down. Or at the very least, if we do, no one else is. And it is just us in the end of the day that is running this course. And other people might stay along with us. But there are things that we give and take for these choices that we make along the way. But the insignificance of having met a goal that seemed so vital at the beginning of the journey and getting to that point and realizing we're at the same point now. We're both doing the same thing. We're both running. We both have no direction, But what did stand out to me as significant was the choice that this person had made. Am I boring you?
No, that was a sneeze. But you scared it away.
Oh my goodness.
No direction, crumbly roads.
That's all you took?
I'm interpreting this dream as if you and someone famous, someone that's
No, we were normal.
She was also normal?
No, the guy that was with me. It wasn't my dream to catch up with Emma Watson. I was like, oh yeah, that would be cool. But I saw this guy who was with me. He was significant. I don't know who he was though. But he was significant. And he was the one, like, I was looking at him and he was looking in the distance at this huge gap that was growing between us and Emma Watson because I was so slow. Right?
Shit.
And I was like, I feel bad.
I know
That
that for
isn't,
sure.
this is not my goal. This is not my dream necessarily to catch up to Emma Watson, but this is his. Now, what I was getting at though was, and I'll reiterate this, it was not so important once we actually caught up to her. Like, it was like, okay, what now then? We've done it. We did all that just to say hello, you know? And that felt, the comparison between the hard work, the struggle to get there and what we received once we got there. We were still struggling. It was still hot. We were still running. But we got to say hi. And she still had her things around her. And the thing that stood out as important at that point was not the goal, but rather the fact that this person that I was with did not leave me behind in order to get that goal. They were running faster than I was, but they dragged me with them rather than letting go. And that seemed significant because no one else that I really saw was holding on to anyone else. No one else was, I mean, there were people in groups, but no one was really like, this is a journey we're taking together, right? And I am going to get to that goal, but you're coming with me, right? So that felt significant. And it wasn't just you're coming with me and it was one-sided, but I, in turn, like, it was a give and take. I wanted them to get there and they wanted me to get there with them. And, you know, it made me consider the value, like I said, Emma Watson being representative of fame and fortunes and, you know, this sort of status, which is lovely. It comes with its own trials, of course. It is not a life without its difficulties, but the difficulties to get there and the reward that you get in return seemed insignificant in relation to the realization of the connection that was confirmed by the journey to get there. And it was like, you know, we all take our separate paths and we all have the freedom to go from one road to another or to speed up or slow down. We all have those choices. We all have to run, walk, but we all have to make these decisions. And it seemed very important that part of that journey, because we're going to be running anyway, be the people that we meet along the way, because no one was really stopping, or not to say stopping, but no one was really paying attention to the other people around them unless they were maybe family.
This whole thing sounds symbolic for life. Like,
Yeah.
everyone just reaching the same end.
That is exactly what I mean.
Yeah, like, we're all just doing it in different ways. Some moving faster than others.
Mm-hmm.
Some moving slower. Some leaving others behind. Some keeping people up with them.
Mm-hmm. That is exactly what it is. And I found it...
All to reach Emma Watson.
All to reach Emma Watson. Yeah. I just thought it was an interesting dream to have had. And especially... consider the heat. Like, the circumstances aren't good for anyone. You know? And you can't really say that you're any farther ahead than anyone else because there's no end. You end when you end. And that could be in the middle of the road as far as someone else's journey is. You know, there is no start, there is no end. You're just going. To say I woke up with a bit of an existential crisis is...
Shit. That sounds like the ultimate existential dream. Like, we have no place. We're just running and running and running. Just keep swimming. Just keep swimming.
Exactly. We're just... I mean, there's no guarantee that we're going anywhere. But like I said, the people. That's the only real...
Purpose.
It seems as though... No. I mean, like I said, you had to go. Like, I physically could not stop myself from running. I nearly tripped. But, like, it was still... Jelly legs or not, I was still going.
It sounds like you just keep waking up. You ever heard that joke? And it's like, how's your money going? Well, I didn't wake up dead, so not good.
Oh my goodness. No. I think it's more... I think the intention of it was to be more grateful for the fact that we are waking up and we are surrounded by opportunities. And one of the biggest opportunities are the people that surround us. And not in a monetary or greedy sense, but just in general connection. Because I don't think anyone's truly looking at anyone else with the intention of connection. Or, like, there's such a heavy self-focus.
I can agree with that. Everyone's focused on their issues, and they don't focus on others. That is a heavy trend too, where people would focus too much on others because it's easier than focusing on their own problems. It's just a cycle of stuff like that. Not dealing with your own issues, helping others with their shit, and they're just on and on and on and on. Then everybody being focused on their own problems, they start to forget about those around them, and then the sense of neglect, sense of isolation, that starts to play a role into everything as well. Everyone's just running and running and running and running. You think of it like just being in a city, like how everyone is just, we're all going to the same regions, same district, same place sometimes, and we're all just so zoned in into ourselves that you don't even realize what's going on around you, people around you. And then sometimes with people around you too, they have like so much worse situation. It's like being on the train and you're just so focused on your phone, whatever game you're playing, whatever video you're watching, whatever music you're listening to, and then you look and you're like, oh man, it's somebody like laying down on the seats, some crazy guy screaming on the tracks, some woman arguing with her boyfriend, some kids like messing with somebody else, and then it's just that constant like dissociation.
I think seeing so much of it so heavily concentrated kind of, what is the term? Compassion fatigue? Where
I think of it being you become apathetic.
That's essentially it.
Same,
you get
right.
so tired of being compassionate, you don't have any more to give, that you kind of become indifferent instead. But I think it's important to not look so much at where you're going, but who you're going with. Like I said, like the destination could change. All right, tell me your opinions then. It's your turn.
Alright, so
Start.
scene. It's gonna be like a random edit right there.
Right.
I feel like that dream was pretty much just talking, or at least telling you like not to stress out. In a way, it was also telling you to stress out. Like things were already like the asphalt was crumbly. You said, you know, the city was pretty much all types of messed up.
It wasn't even a city. It was a field.
It was a field?
It seemed like a desert.
What field has asphalt?
A field with asphalt. I don't... It had road.
Oh, yeah, excuse me.
There were no buildings.
No buildings. It's a field with asphalt and roads and cars and houses and metros.
There was barely... No, it was just not even trees out there.
All right, so you had a field with crumbly asphalt, a bunch of people running a big gap, one person chasing after Emma Watson. You're with that person. He's not leaving you behind. Correct?
Correct.
All right, so I think of it, I interpret it as, things are already messed up. We have a big, beautiful world, but a lot of different things going on around it. But sometimes we're all running towards what we have to do, whether it's business, whether it's family, whether it's people. We all have a specific goal that we're running towards. This person was chasing Emma Watson, which can be interpreted as fame, perhaps. Maybe, maybe it's a sense of glamour, sense of, glory, and the person is bringing you with them, and it's just like, maybe you are not interested in that world, you're not as interested, or the person is more committed towards one specific aspect of it, while everyone else is going about it in different ways. And that's why everyone is so, separated, and there's a big gap, because someone is doing it more effectively than somebody else. Someone gets closer, but then once you reach it, you said she just waved, smiled.
I mean,
as if it was just like ordinary, mundane.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we're seeking this glory, we're seeking this success, we're seeking this fame, and then once we reach it, it's just life. It's just human.
It's just the same as
it's
we were.
Nothing different.
Yeah. A different place on the road, but not necessarily the conditions didn't improve,
It's like you think it's easier to get to a place by car, but then you start driving a car, and then the tire blows out, and the battery runs out, and the engine needs repairs.
And you have no gas.
And it's just like, it would have been better if we gone by train.
Yeah, shit, we could have walked there by now.
Yeah, right, we could have just been there by now at this point. That's my interpretation of this dream. That's how I see it.
Do you think life is that way? There's no point?
It's weird. It is very, very odd, because I do think it's that way, and I don't think it's that way. Because I do feel like a certain sense of success leads to a certain sense of ease, but then you have people that have been successful that take their lives.
I think
and people make that argument. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's tough. So when you're like broke in a community, everyone is struggling together.
Right.
But when you're succeeding and you're trying to bring people up, each person you have with you and each thing you're doing will not be the same as the others. So you're all succeeding in different ways. So you can be a musician, you could be a famous artist, you can be an actor, and then you have somebody else around you that's also trying to make moves, but the moves that you're making are not the same moves that they're making. So even though we struggle the same way by not having enough money, a house, familial issues, things like that, and then you start to find success in whatever range or whatever field that you're a part of, and then now I'm finding success as an actor, you're finding success as a musician. The problems we have may be similar, but we might be going at different rates, different speeds, different levels, and that's kind of what makes things a little bit more difficult too, because some people don't want to work for it. Some people just rather tag along, get the splurge, get the rewards of somebody else's hard work. And then other people, they have issues trying to trust and trying to rely on somebody else to make sure that they have their best interest in hand. You make enough money, you get an accountant, security guards, assistants, workers. But now these people are pretty much working for or with you, but they're not doing what you're doing. They're not making the money you're making.
Question.
Answer.
What are you viewing as success?
That, what's crazy? I wrote a paper about that in one of my philosophy classes in undergrad, and I got an A on that paper because I always been of that perspective in which you don't need an education to be successful.
No. In terms of, like, what are you achieving? What What do you need to have in order to consider yourself successful?
Me personally, or overall?
Well, it's subjective. Everyone's going to have a different idea.
I
So,
will.
what's yours?
For me personally, I really want just businesses. I want to own numerous types of businesses. I'm also interested in entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to have, I would say, like an expansive, income stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to just rely on one thing or another, but I want to be able to just invest, reinvest, and start from there.
Mm-hmm.
And then once I reach a certain level of comfortability, and then I would like to, help out others,
Mm-hmm.
allow others to do what they have to do, allow people to express their creativity, their art, as well as, supporting communities, supporting cities, supporting the local economy, things like that. So that's my perspective of success. But I got people who feel success is just getting out of the city, getting a house, and buying a car, white picket fence, life like that. That's always been my original outline, my original perspective. But as time goes on, and things change, especially post COVID, to get a different perspective. And I'm like, will I be happy with that just generic 9 to 5 life? I have a 9 to 5 now, and it's stable, it's safe, but I still feel that void. It doesn't feel complete yet. That's the one thing I'm afraid of too. I always ponder this question. If you find the success, if you reach the point that you're working towards, will that make you happy? Because I think of it like a game. When you're leveling up in a game and you're really into it and you max out your character, you're excited, you're happy, you're reaping all the benefits of all your hard work, all your hard hours, but then eventually everything just gets too easy and the game gets boring. Or you finish the game. You know what I'm saying? I think to myself, like, there's always going to be problems in life. And the book, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, talks about there's always a way of, you want to get good problems instead of bad problems. Mm-hmm. You want to have, like, who can I hire for my business? Where to invest my money? Now, where am I going to find the money for rent? How am I going to pay off my car? How am I going to do this? How am I going to finish that? Things like that. Mm-hmm. So that's how I view it. Mm-hmm. So, like, until I reach that point of success that I'm working towards, I won't know if it will fill that void. But one thing I do ponder is, will it fill the void? Will you be truly happy once you get what you want?